Good evening, everybody. At home, there's a few attendees coming in, a few staff members coming in. We'll get started in just a moment. As we were saying, we have a new piece of technology we're trying out in the room tonight. So you're going to see multiple views of folks, and it's called the OWL, and it will follow folks who speak. So you'll see things start to move as people are speaking, and we're going to try it out tonight and see if it's a little better experience as far as the virtual meeting experience goes. So with that, I have 7:01. I'm going to bring the meeting to order. Welcome to the March 17th meeting of the Glenville Town Board. Please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. I think tonight it's certainly apropos to say an Irish blessing for our invocation. Today I came into work and had some Irish blessings on our table in the break room. And so for the invocation tonight, if you just join me, may your troubles be less and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness walk through your door. These things I warmly wish to you, someone to love, some work to do, a bit o' sun, a bit o' chair, and a guardian angel always near. May the blessing of God keep you happy and healthy on this St. Patrick's Day and always. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilman Martin.
Here.
Councilman Aragosa.
Here.
Councilman Godlewski.
Here.
Councilman Rosati. Here. Supervisor Petzley.
Here. So the agenda is, fairly light as far as volume. We have a public hearing we'll be getting to, then a couple of resolutions on police reform, buying an excavator, equipment trail, and enacting the vehicle and traffic code change. So with that, I'll start with town council reports. On my left with Councilman Godlewski.
Just a few things to report, Mr. Supervisor. Many people probably have seen at this point is around social media, the Glenville Road sign at the main corner of the town center, that's the Glenville Y, is opening back up on April 5th. It is certainly, I know I personally missed it. A lot of folks in our community have missed it. One of my last kind of bouts with normalcy before this all happened was swim classes there, and then they and everything else fell victim to COVID. So glad to see that they're opening, and they're opening again on April 5th. And make sure if you're a member that they get out there and obviously be safe, but to support them. And that actually comes in tandem with the governor's announcement today that gyms will no longer have gyms and other establishments, bowling alleys and some others will no longer have a curfew. The food pantry that is being kind of a joint effort that we talked about the last work session is now set for March 24th. Cars can start to line up at 6 o'clock. If you're a volunteer, you can arrive at 4:30 to help out to get Commons Park. And again, thanks to all the folks that have helped to make this a reality. The Regional Food Bank, the Schenectady Foundation. I saw that Stewart's recently donated some bags for the effort. Obviously, Village Trustee Justin Cook and also Councilman Aragosa have been really integral in that effort. And then lastly, I just wanted to extend maybe some encouragement to our state senator, Senator Tedisco, who continues to raise the issue of the St. Clair's pensioners who, going back probably a year or two now, received unfortunate word that they would be having their pension cut off as a result of mismanagement of their retirement. It's been in the news media for a while. I think it's subject to some litigation, but it's an important issue. It's an important issue for our community, for our surrounding community, for folks who work at St. Clair's, for this wrong to be righted for these people. And I know some time this year passed a resolution along those lines, standing in support with them. I've driven in our community and seen people who have signs on their front lawns talking about it. But I think it's an important issue for really every local elected official not to lose sight of, that there are than 1,100 people locally who are out of luck due to no fault of their own. And there continue to be different approaches to how to resolve the issue. Some different ideas. Senator Tedisco brought up the idea that there should be relief included in the federal relief recently. And that certainly sounds like something that should be considered as well. And, that's all.
Thank you. Courtney, can you answer, did you hear that presentation any better than in the past?
I could not really hear very much of it.
So I still have to speak loud, but. Councilwoman Wozzowski.
The only thing that I have to not necessarily report on is just more of a reminder to our residents, the weather is warming up and kids are going to be out on bikes and out in the street with their friends, and they may not be paying as much of attention as they normally do because we've all been cooped up for so long. So as you're driving through the town and you see people out walking and you see kids out on bikes and families out trying to enjoy the weather as we all start to emerge from the last year and trying to be separate from each other, just keep in mind that, you know, we're all trying to share the road and be extra aware and try to be a little extra careful.
Thank you.
I
If
could
there's
hear
any
Councilman
consolation,
Wozzowski very well.
Okay, see, she projects. Yes, lean into your microphone.
I'm not going to.
All right, we'll have to address that one. And if there's any consolation, Councilman Godlewski, the owl looked at you anyway, so you're on screen, so that's good. Councilman Martin.
I just want to extend, I had a chance since the last workshop to do a little deeper dive into the police reform report. And I just want to extend thanks to Chief Janik and the committee that worked on it. I think there's a lot of good information in there. And there's a real solid basis for us to move forward on. But I also came away thinking, you know, how fortunate we are in the current condition of our police department. I think they're a model for the region, and I think they do a fine job. And it's just a matter of now seeing if we can tweak some things here and there to make things even better. So, but I did read the report in detail, and I want to thank all those who worked on it, and again the fine work that our officers do on a daily basis.
Thank you. Councilman Aragosa.
So next Monday night, GECC is meeting Freeman's Ridge Solar Project, which is at the old Van Curler greenhouses site, will be on the agenda. Just to talk a little bit more about what Mike said, very glad and thankful to Stewart's 3,000 bags, paper bags, for our food event in Collins Park, which is a really nice effort on their part. Lastly, I know the football schedule for the local football teams is out. Coach Glenville is playing this weekend or this Friday night at the 19th versus Queensbury at home. So, you know, it's a new thing for us, football in March, but you know, the kids put in a lot of effort. So if we can get out and keep our distance and watch a game, it'll be a lot of fun for everybody.
Just as an aside, I believe that if you're looking to go to the game, you need to check the school's website, because I don't know, I believe they were limiting attendance to, I think it was just parents.
I think you're right.
So, but the school district has been very good about broadcasting on YouTube the games as the kids play them. I don't think they're live streamed, but they're on afterwards. So I appreciate the shout out for the kids, but I don't know if we show up if we'll be able to actually be there, even though we're outside.
So parents only.
That's what I heard.
I believe that's it. If, you know, I think the school has some information on the website. And if you're looking to go, just check that first, because we don't want to cause a problem for the teams and a disruption and all that. Although I think that, you know, it's great to try to support them, because they definitely.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
That's all. Thank you. Moving on, the first item on the agenda is the public hearing for the amendment to Chapter 255 Vehicle and Traffic Code regarding adding the section regarding failure to obey an overhead clearance sign and assigning penalties on offenses for that. That would assign a penalty of $450 for striking a bridge or failing to obey the sign of low bridge. And so I'll open that public hearing. Public hearing is now open. Anyone wish to be heard on that matter? If you raise your virtual hand, I can open your mic and you can speak on that matter. Raise your virtual hand or send a little note. We could open your mic. Going once, going twice. Seeing no virtual hands, the public hearing is now closed. Move on to privilege of the floor, which I will open now. Privilege of the floor. Anyone wish to be heard of privilege of the floor? Same thing. Okay, Mr. Hyde, I see your hand went up. Hold on just a minute. Let me just. Mr. Hyde, you're self-muted now. Is it working, sir? It says you're self-muted. There you go. You're green. Appropriately for St. Patrick's Day. Your mic is green. We can't hear you, sir. Can you hear us? Your mic is open. Perhaps you want to type a note in. Hey, Steve, can you just check to see if there's volume control on that thing? Maybe the volume's coming through that. There should be a plus or minus sign. Yeah, there you go. Mr. Hyde, are you there? I don't know, Mr. Hyde, if you don't have a microphone, sometimes that's an issue. If you want to type in your comments, I can read them. But it appears that we do not have an audio link for you. And the microphone here is green and it says you're open, so. And I'm assuming you can hear us since your hand went up. Well, Mr. Hyde works on that. Anyone else like to speak at privilege of the floor? Okay, I see no other hands. Mr. Hyde, what I'll do is move on to the next item, but please feel free to type in your comments into the chat feature. And I can read them when they come in. So I can come back and revisit this item on the agenda once that comes in. Okay, privilege of the floor is now closed. Move on to supervisors' comments to the board. They'll be fairly brief. I just want to update the board on a few things. DEC, we had an opportunity, Melissa and I, to have a call with DEC to talk about some of the ongoing projects around the town. The two projects that we spoke about really almost exclusively were the Kenco project, where we are with Kenco. It's town's position that we're trying to get DEC back to finish the cleanup on that. As you know, we years ago got the free water line in for our folks on Sunnyside, and we got some remediation started there. And then Hoosick Falls started, and the state diverted resources from Glenville and other areas to Hoosick Falls. And now we're at that point where we're trying to get them back to Kenco, and they did indicate that there's some movement in that area, and they'll be coming out with some further guidance as to what they're going to do forward to finish the cleanup on Kenco in the near future. The second one that we brought up that isn't on their radar is the Kivert site to talk about making it a brownfield. And obviously we would need the owners to make that happen. The owners don't seem interested in that at this particular juncture. Apparently they had a brown site application in and it's been pulled out, it's been pulled back. So there's really nothing we can do at this juncture with that, but we did talk about it and did talk about the need to focus some efforts on getting that site cleaned up and hopefully redeveloped in some way. To update you a little bit on the bridge, we've learned today that the CP Rail will be installing crash bars. I know, holy cow.
Good thing I'm
Jeez.
sitting down.
I know. After DOT says you can't install crash bars, CP Rail is going to install crash bars. The problem is the crash bars are going to be located very close to the bridge. Question if they actually will be effective since they're going to be so close to the bridge, but they'll be steel crash bars. So
Are they gonna have signage or?
no, so you're going to have basically the debris is going to happen before it hits the bridge as opposed to while it's hitting the bridge, because this is going to be a sizable situation here. Now, I had a chance to talk to the field engineer on it, and I'm concerned for a couple reasons. Number one, you need to stop the traffic before it leaves 146. It's going to be a problem, and this doesn't do that. But what they did say was that the bridge can't take another hit, so it must be impacting the bridge at this juncture, and that's something that I don't know if it's. I think all it's going to do is move the hit from the bridge to the bar. Really, that's all it's going to do.
As long as they're not going so fast that they can't stop.
That's the thing.
I mean,
That's the thing.
you know,
So
maybe it will be a visual cue to somebody who's driving that, what is that thing sitting there that I might hit, but.
Yeah, let's not be pessimists. I mean, one of the thoughts or one of the theories is that having the one bridge before it when you come from Clifton Park gives you the wide lens.
Yep.
You see that, you have no problem. So if you see the bars, I mean, I don't know, but hopefully it will.
Well, this has got to be subject to a DOT permit to place something on a state highway.
we don't know that. We don't know if they're getting a permit or not. I don't know that. I would imagine they would be, but
I mean,
So-
it's got to be subject to some kind of review.
so, well, I would imagine, but that is something that is in the works. I want everyone to know when you start seeing the people come and dig, what's going on there, because we'll be getting a lot of questions on that. The PDD is coming in for Freeman's Bridge Road supposedly on March 22nd. So we'll have that going forward into the April work session to talk about that solar PDD. I know that the solar is going to GECC next week, but the PDD is the important piece to get the whole thing started. And that's coming in backwards, but it's coming in shortly. The senior tax program has wrapped up very quickly. We had such high demand for it. They finished them very quickly, like within 2 days, the entire program was closed, and we did as many as we could with the resources we have. We still are looking for folks if they want to help us with that. There's still an opportunity with that, but we were able to successfully get the AARP program back after the H&R Block program came on. AARP decided to come back and do a limited program, so we are handling the rest of the demand through the original program of AARP. So that's all moving forward as well. I had an opportunity to have a nice conversation with the county attorney today on a project regarding Wolf Hollow Road. I think you are all going to be excited to hear, because we've been working on this for years now, that they're looking to turn that into a hike trail, a nature trail. So we talked about the process there and what they need to go through to make that happen. I think there's going to be a private entity that takes it over as a hiking trail. But there'll be a subdivision will be required and some other things. And so we're working with the county on that to get that through our planning board, which will probably take because of meeting schedules, somewhere between probably 2 months, two full meetings. We'd have to go through seeker and some other things. We successfully received a check or a donation from Stewart's. I want to thank Stewart's, they're a great community partner to go towards our inclusive playground. And so we filled out a little grant application with them, and they awarded us $1,500 to go towards the playground. So that's going to be helpful for us as we go forward. And lastly, I want to update you on the youth council thing we talked about. So I had an opportunity to host a youth workforce development summit with the high schools and local businesses. And towards the end on the agenda, this idea of a youth program was brought forward to them, and they seemed very open to it. They asked for time to talk to their people, I guess the curriculum people, and then the high school or the teachers. So we're going to circle back on some other things, and they'll let me know, but they seem pretty open to the idea. So it seems like that might be going forward as well. So that's all I have for updates, and we'll move on to the resolution regarding accepting the police reform report. Item number 8. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. I asked the chief to be here tonight, particularly if we had any comments on it or if we have any further questions. I do want to echo Councilman Martin's comments. Thank the chief for all his hard work and leadership on this. We spent a lot of time together, Chief, good doing this. I want to thank the committee who, couldn't be here tonight, obviously, but they worked very hard on this. They gave up their time and helped us. This was something, as we talked about before, was an executive order that came down from the state, which required us to perform a comprehensive review of strategies, deployment practices, and policies for the purpose of addressing the needs of the community served by the police agency, and to promote community engagement, to foster trust, fairness, legitimacy, and to address any racial bias and disproportionate policing of communities of color. Through the process, we learned a lot about ourselves. We listened to the community. I think we reacted. I think the chief and the police department reacted very quickly to some of the suggestions. Didn't really give us an opportunity to put it in as a plan because he already enacted the reforms like the next day, which, is very impressive. So thank you. We did hold the public meetings as we talked about, and as we're directed by the executive order, and the draft form was prepared and provided to the public and reviewed to be heard. I have emails that came in. We got 5 emails or 6 emails, 5 or 6. I have them here. I'll distribute those for you to add to your report that was given to you last time we met. And it is the town's position that this meets the directive of the executive order and certification, which I will be sending into the state of New York tomorrow with my transmittal certification form. And I think that's all I have for the resolution. Any questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I'm going to take my mask off so that everybody can hear me. I'd like to echo my colleagues' comments and gratitude to the members of our community that came out and were willing to take time out of their busy lives to help our police department improve. And I think I always have said for many years, it's wonderful when residents engage, and I think they were engaged in a very positive way to help us be better. I think that, in my profession, I don't know everything. I'm always learning, and I think that it's very much the same for our police officers. You can never say you've seen it all or done it all or heard it all. So I would like to commend you, Chief Janik, because it's not easy to take a hard look at your own profession and a hard look at your own department and the men and women who serve with you every day and turn a critical eye to it. And I think that you did a fine job of doing so. I just would like to say thank you, and to the officers that assisted you with the reports and the gathering of the data and all of that. I hope that this is a springboard for us going forward to, kind of take a look at it even more often. It sounds like we put some things into place that will allow us to track statistics better and keep an eye on things and make sure that our officers are treating everybody who comes into our and lives in our town equally and with respect, no matter what the situation is going forward. So I would like to say thank you. Thank you to, obviously, to Supervisor Ketzley for spearheading it all, but that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilwoman. But, I forgot to mention, I do want to address one of the comments that came in once or twice anyway, was some of a resident or two perhaps indicated they thought that it wasn't proper for the supervisor and the chief to be spearheading the committee, that it should have been all resident-driven community. The executive order explicitly made it clear that the chief executive officer has to bring the committee together and lead the committee. And I think not having the chief involved in that would not have been a wise measure. It said both of us. Yeah, so the executive order is very clear, and that was the directive. It wasn't our decision. So I just wanted to point that out because I think that was one or two comments that came in. Anyone else?
Yes. Again, thank you for your recommendation for food and working with you, Supervisor Ketley, for getting it together and getting it done. One of the things that I did take out of all this, and I feel it's important to mention, is the need for supervision is very important amongst your ranks, and I feel like we need to make sure that we move forward as quickly as we can to fill the positions that are missing. And I know your take on that. I just want to make sure that we talk about it, or I bring it out a little bit, but we got to make sure that we get that done so that we can get our supervision back in place.
Thank you.
If I could just briefly comment, I would echo everyone else's sentiments. Thank you to the chief and to Chris for the efforts with this. It's always nice to have data, to ascertain data, thanks to the residents who helped provide the data. There were a number of statistics. I think ultimately the tenor of the report and the takeaway for me personally was things are moving in a positive direction here in Glenville. And the statistic that jumped out to me was the safety statistic. That our residents overall, largely, like when I think there were 3 categories, and the top 2 were essentially I feel safe in Glenville, phrased a little bit different. And that's a testament to the work that the chief does, the work that all our men and women who serve the police department do. Thank you for your work on that. Thank you for everything you do for us.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution authorizing the purchase of a compact excavator. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I
it.
have a second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, the highway superintendent has informed us that the highway department is in need of purchasing a new compact excavator. He recommends the purchase of a Bobcat E60 R2 series excavator with a premium package plate and a plate compact. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
And the necessary attachments. In order to achieve cost savings, they recommend the utilization of pricing available under New York State contract. And the award would go to Clark Equipment Company via Bobcat dealer Robert H. Finke and Sons of Selkirk. Funding of $75,000 for this purchase was included in the 2021 adopted budget. So this resolution, should it pass, would authorize the purchase of one Bobcat E60 R2 series excavator with the attendant packages and attachments for a total sum not to exceed $71,147. And as I said, the amount is included in the 2021 adopted budget.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Aragosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Ketzley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution 10, authorizing the purchase of an equipment trailer. Do I have a motion?
I'll move
Do I have a
it.
second?
Second?
Moved in second. Any discussion?
Mr. Supervisor, the Commissioner of Public Works has informed us that the department requires an equipment trailer to haul large equipment and materials which are needed to perform the functions of the department. Solicited for bids and received written quotes from 3 vendors for the procurement of an equipment trailer that meets the specifications set forth.
Trailers Inc. of Cairo, New York has provided the lowest quote for requested equipment trailer at $11,295. Funding for this purchase is included within the 2021 budget. So should this resolution pass, it would authorize purchasing one 10-ton 2021 equipment trailer from Trailers Inc. of Cairo, New York at a cost of $11,295. As I said, the expense is included in the 2021 adopted budget.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Pirosa?
Yes.
Councilman Godlewski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Capson?
Yes, resolution passes. Next resolution, local law number 7, chapter 255, vehicle and traffic, Code of Glenville. This enacts the failure to obey the sign. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Just again, we just had a public hearing on this, same thing. This gives the authority to the town regarding a failure to obey overhead clearance sign regarding bridge strikes. The fine would be set at $450 as a maximum fine under penalties and offenses. This is part of a comprehensive approach, as we talked about, to trying to get to reduce or to mitigate the bridge strikes that are occurring. This would help us with recovering of some of the potential costs, but hopefully it also help us with our education on making sure people understand after being ticketed that this may be something that they want to be more careful about in the future, and word would spread. We talked about last time, this is part of a 4-point plan that we're working on. One is the laser beams, which are coming apparently according to DOT by the end of 2022. Now CP Rail is doing something different, so we have to look into that as well. I don't think that will change the laser opportunity. The truck route is another very important piece that has to be instituted. We'll continue to talk to DOT about that, but this is the first step in that process of trying to bring a comprehensive approach to this problem. Any questions or comments?
Just comment, Mr. Supervisor. I did just want to speak in support of this resolution. Obviously the bridge issue has been an issue now for quite some time. It continues to be an issue, and from my perspective, any attempt to mitigate bridge strikes, at this point, let's give it a try. In this instance, I mean, certainly there's been an increase in volume of press coverage by putting this out there. So the more people that hear about it, the more we're educating people and letting people know that we're taking this seriously. I certainly feel that we're at a point where no idea should be considered a bad idea. We should look at everything, consider everything, and do what we can. And I know that in some instances our hands are a little bit tied because a lot of these issues are state issues, DOT, DVC, et cetera, and obviously CP Rail. But whatever we can do, either as advocates or as legislators. So I think this is a good step. I hope that this helps get word out, and I hope people are more mindful of this issue as a result.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I just want to chime in. I think this is a positive step. It's a part of a comprehensive approach, and I just want to emphasize to the residents who may not have heard, or if there is any continuing misunderstanding, this is a state highway with a CP rail bridge over it. The town has very little involvement in this. Doing what we can, and most importantly, I want to thank the supervisor for his efforts in leading a discussion with those agencies and those entities that do have a responsibility in this problem. I think that's the way to go. I think we need a holistic approach here that is comprehensive in scope, meaning I think the truck route is very important. I've shared documentation of the Transportation Council designating 146 as the truck route. That needs to be made known, and most importantly through electronic devices and web-based apps and so on that are directing people in the wrong manner, and should be directing potential trucks that will have a problem out of this route. both of those of a commercial nature, those web sources, those apps and so on that are of a commercial nature for truckers, as well as the common everyday Google mapping, Apple Maps, that kind of stuff. That's the type of comprehensive approach that'll work, and we're on our way to that. But I just wanted to emphasize this is a state highway with a CP rail bridge over it, and we're doing all we can.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Agosta?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucki?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 12, approving the minutes of the regular town board meeting for March 3rd, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
As stated, Mr. Supervisor, this resolution will approve the town board minutes from the last town board meeting, March 3rd. I think this will be accepted.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Agosta?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucky?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, resolution passes. Next, resolution 13, adopting monthly departmental reports for February 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and second. Any discussion?
As stated, this resolution will approve the reports from the departments that were submitted to us via email, and I would thank the department for putting it together.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, please record the vote.
Councilman Martin?
Yes.
Councilman Agosta?
Yes.
Councilman Goodlucky?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wozzachowski?
Yes.
Supervisor Pettsley?
Yes, before I go to new business, I'd like to go back to Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde, can you hear us? Your microphone is still open. I'm going to do one test here. Myrtle, I'm going to open your microphone. Myrtle, I ask you to say, you're muted, Myrtle. Can you unmute and say something to us?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, can you hear
We can hear you, Myrtle.
Hi,
me?
Myrtle.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to make sure it worked. So I think it's something, Mr. Hyde, that is on your
Did you have an
side.
opportunity to take anything in?
No, I didn't type anything in. Give me an email tomorrow, Mr. Hyde, and we'll figure out a way of, we'll be open next month. But we'll get a way of trying to connect. I don't know what might have happened there. Yeah, we're back to open in April.
Fantastic.
Yes. Thought we reported on that already.
No.
Well, I don't think you put it in this report, but we did say it.
Not this report. Yeah, the last time. Yeah, yes. So new business. I'll start on my left with Councilman Godlewski.
Just, I always think about what I'm gonna say at these meetings, and then I get, nervous and excited, and I skip over like something very fundamental, such as wishing everybody a happy St. Patrick's Day. So, happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. I am representing a full quarter of Irish here. I've got a pin. So, happy St. Patrick's Day.
Councilman Worzbowski.
In honor of that sentiment, I think I'm gonna go home and have some Irish whiskey.
Councilman Martin.
I'm just gonna say, and I'm gonna start saying this now every time, go out and get your shot. If you haven't got it, you're eligible, go get your shot and let's get this pandemic behind us. I, for one, am sick and tired of masks and social distancing and the phrase the new normal. I want to get back to the old normal. I think a lot of people have that sentiment. Get your shot, let's get herd immunity and get away from this pandemic.
Thank you. Councilman Argos.
Just as Mike did, happy St. Patrick's Day to my other half of my family. Everyone knows my wife is my enjoyment of Irish whiskey sometimes goes more. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'll say I don't claim any Irish heritage, but certainly want to wish everyone a very happy St. Patrick's Day. And since there's so much talk of Irish whiskey tonight, I just have to say bourbon. We have to represent bourbon. I think the chief and I are bourbon folks, and maybe
Good American bourbon.
that's right. A good old fashioned American bourbon that could still celebrate St. Patrick's Day with bourbon. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will move it.
Second. Moved and second, all in favor, aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Here.